Falling angels, the truth they never told you. Falling angels, the rebellion in heaven. A journey back in time. Once upon a time, before nations, before kings, before the very breath of man, the heavens trembled, not because of war, not because of chaos, but because angels, yes, angels, made a choice. A choice to fall. They were not monsters, they were not evil, they were the beautiful, the mighty, the divine. But they broke the rules, and that changed everything. Welcome to the journey back in time. Tonight, we uncover the terrifying truth that has been buried, banned, and forgotten. The truth of the falling angels. What if I told you that not all angels were loyal? That some were cast down from heaven, not for disobedience, but for love, lust, and rebellion? These are the fallen angels, divine beings who dared to question, dared to defy, and in doing so, changed the fate of humanity forever. This is not just mythology. This is ancient history cloaked in mystery, fear, and forbidden texts. Welcome to the journey back in time. Now we go deep with the first falling angel. Before humanity took its first breath, before the earth was sculpted from the void, the heavens were filled with divine beings, creations of unimaginable power and grace. Among them were the archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and one whose name meant Lightbringer, Lucifer. He was said to be the most beautiful of all, radiant like the morning star, wrapped in wisdom and clothed in glory. But within his heart, a question began to stir. A seed of pride, a whisper of rebellion. The book of Ezekiel speaks of a being who walked among the fiery stones, perfect in his ways, until iniquity was found in him. And Isaiah 14:12 cries out, "How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning, how you are cut down to the ground, you who weaken the nations." Lucifer looked upon the throne of the Almighty and said, "I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, I will sit on the mount of the congregation, I will be like the Most High." This was not a rebellion of mortals, it was a cosmic war. 1/3 of the angels, divine beings of light, followed Lucifer, and in doing so, they crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. They declared war on heaven. The book of Revelation describes it clearly. Revelation 12:7-9. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. Lucifer, now Satan, was hurled from heaven, he and the host that followed him, cast down like lightning. No longer angels of light, now the fallen. Centuries later, another chapter of the fallen would unfold, not in heaven, but here on earth. In the ancient Book of Enoch, a text excluded from most Bibles but revered in the early Christian world, we find the tale of the Watchers. These were not demons in hell, they were angels sent to earth to watch over humanity. But something went wrong. The Watchers looked upon the daughters of men, and they desired them. They were not supposed to intervene. They were guardians, not lovers, but they broke the heavenly command. 200 of them descended to Mount Hermon, and there they made a pact. Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, so that we will not abandon this plan. And so they took wives among humans, and the women bore children. But these were not ordinary children. They were the Nephilim, giants, tyrants, monsters of immense strength and insatiable hunger. Described in Genesis 6:4 as the mighty men of old, men of renown. They consumed the earth, devoured animals, men, and even turned on each other. The earth cried out under their weight, and the Lord was grieved. And so came the judgment, the flood. The world was washed clean, but not without consequences. The Watchers were bound by chains in the underworld, cast into the abyss, according to the Book of Enoch, to remain imprisoned until the day of judgment. Falling angels, echoes from Babylon and Sumer. Long before the Bible was written, before prophets spoke of divine wars and floods, the ancient civilizations of Sumer and Babylon were already telling stories. Stories of heavenly beings who descended and brought with them knowledge, chaos, and change. The Sumerians spoke of the Anunnaki, divine beings from the heavens who came to earth. Some texts describe them as gods, others as judges of humanity. But some scholars believe that the Anunnaki may be a cultural echo of the fallen angels. These deities did not merely observe, they interfered. The Epic of Gilgamesh, the oldest epic poem ever discovered, tells of demigods, hybrid beings, giants, and a great flood sent to cleanse a corrupted world. Sound familiar? The Babylonians too had their own celestial watchers. Their myths spoke of gods who gave forbidden knowledge to men. Knowledge of war, enchantment, metalwork, astrology. Just as the Book of Enoch says of the Watchers, they taught enchantments, root cuttings, astrology, and the secrets of the heavens. Across cultures, the same pattern repeats. Heavenly beings descend. They mix with mortals. They teach what should not be taught, and they fall from grace. Were these myths merely stories, or ancient memories of something real? When the Watchers fell, they didn't just defy heaven. They opened a door to knowledge that was never meant for human hands. They taught mankind the art of the blade, how to forge weapons of war. They taught enchantments, spells, divination, the painting of the eyelids and the beautifying of women, vanity, seduction, deception. And the world was changed. Civilization advanced rapidly, but not peacefully. What was given by the angels became tools of domination. In the centuries that followed, whispers of these teachings re-emerged in secret societies, in grimoires, in forbidden texts like the Ars Goetia and the Book of Abramelin, books that claim to contact fallen beings, entities offering knowledge for a price. Some say these were not mere demons, but the very Watchers, still imprisoned, yet speaking, still fallen, yet influencing. And the angels who did not keep their own domain, but abandoned their proper abode, he has kept in eternal chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. But chains in ancient thought didn't always mean silence. Some chains are metaphysical, invisible, binding, but not muting. Could it be that fallen angels still whisper from the shadows? Among all the fallen, one name still carries the weight of legend: Lucifer. His name means light bringer, but his legacy is shadow. Was he pure evil, or the first tragic rebel? Isaiah 14 and Ezekiel 28 paint him as a majestic being, anointed, wise, perfect in beauty, until pride corrupted him. Your heart became proud on account of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom because of your splendor. Lucifer's sin wasn't violence, it was ambition. He dared to challenge the divine order. Some theologians believe that Lucifer's fall wasn't a random rebellion. It was triggered by something deeper, by humanity. Some ancient traditions say that Lucifer refused to bow to man. He, a being of light made before time, asked to kneel before a creature made of clay. He would not. And so he fell, not just from heaven, but from the divine hierarchy, from beloved to cursed. In this cosmic drama, was Lucifer the villain, or the first voice of free will? Falling angels, the abyss, the chains, and the kingdom below. When the angels fell, they did not land gently. They were not cast onto some earthly battlefield. They were thrown into the abyss. The Book of Enoch calls it the place of imprisonment. The Book of Jude speaks of chains of darkness. Peter calls it Tartarus, a Greek word meaning a place beneath hell itself. Peter 2 verses 4. For if God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them down to Tartarus and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved for judgment. Tartarus was no myth. It was the deepest pit in Greek cosmology, below even Hades. And somehow, across cultures, this same prison exists. The Sumerians called it Kur. The Babylonians had Irkalla. In each one, a land of shadows where divine rebels were sealed away. But not all were bound. Some fallen angels roamed freely, whispering into the hearts of kings, priests, and tyrants. They became gods to some, demons to others. In ancient Mesopotamia, some of the Anunnaki were said to reside in the underworld, governing over the fates of the dead. In Persia, the Daevas, false gods and demons, led humanity astray. The lines blurred. Gods, demons, angels, all descended from one original sin: pride, rebellion, and forbidden knowledge. And the chains of Tartarus? They may not have held forever. Across centuries, strange phenomena continued. Voices from nowhere, sudden fits of rage, men and women speaking in tongues unknown, and always the same claim: I am Legion. I am fallen. I am one who watched. Were these cases of mental illness or echoes of something older? Psychologist Carl Jung believed that demons were not literal beings, but archetypes, manifestations of our shadow self, our repressed instincts, our rage, our lust, our hunger for power. He said, "The devil is not an external enemy. He is us. He is the shadow within." But what if both were true? What if the fallen angels, those celestial rebels, didn't just fall from heaven, but into the human mind? Every myth, every religion speaks of this duality: the divine and the fallen, the guardian angel and the tempter. Could it be that fallen angels now operate through consciousness itself, whispering not from the outside, but from within? We see it in temptation. We see it in greed. We see it in the hunger to play God, from the Tower of Babel to Silicon Valley, from Babylon's ziggurats to weapons of mass destruction. The same urge remains: to ascend, to become divine, to reject all limits. Just as Lucifer once said, "I will ascend, I will be like the Most High." And perhaps that whisper still lingers. As the Middle Ages gave way to the Renaissance, the story of the fallen angels did not disappear. It simply went underground, into the vaults of mystery schools, into the pages of forbidden tomes, and into the rituals of secret orders that still whisper their oaths behind closed doors. The knowledge the Watchers once gave of stars, metal, seduction, and sorcery was resurrected by occult societies across Europe. They called it illumination, the light of Lucifer, not as a devil, but as a liberator, the bringer of wisdom hidden by oppressive religion. Alchemy, Kabbalah, Hermeticism, all carried echoes of the old rebellion. In some circles, Lucifer became the misunderstood hero, the first to question tyranny, the first to fall for freedom. But these orders didn't just want to understand the fallen, they wanted to become them, to embody divine power, to ascend without God. And so, the influence of the fallen continues, not in chains, but in symbols, on buildings, on currency, in corporations, and in the deepest ambitions of mankind. The final chapter is already written, but not yet read. In the Book of Revelation, the war that began in heaven does not end in silence. It returns, in fire, blood, and celestial wrath. "And I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And there arose a smoke out of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace." The key to the abyss. A door reopens, and out come beings mankind has long forgotten. Locusts with human faces, kings named Apollyon, entities not born of earth, but once cast from heaven. The fallen are not gone. They are waiting, and at the end of time, their prison opens. Lucifer returns, the Watchers rise, the Nephilim walk again. Revelation 12:12. "Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." The story comes full circle. The morning star falls once more, and the earth becomes the battlefield between those who rose and those who fell. So why this story still haunts us? Why does this story matter? Because it's not just a story about angels, it's a story about us, about what happens when we reach too far, desire too much, and forget where we came from. Lucifer's fall was the first declaration of I will rise, I will become, I will rule. And that same cry echoes in every tyrant, every empire, every soul that burns with unquenchable pride. But it also echoes in the human drive to create, question, and evolve. The story of the fallen angels is the story of ambition, of beauty corrupted, of love lost, of knowledge, too dangerous to wield. And maybe that's why we're still telling it. Because we recognize that same war within ourselves. The pull between light and shadow, between obedience and rebellion, between humility and the desire to be gods. In the end, the fallen angels were not monsters. They were once stars. And maybe, just maybe, that's what makes them so terrifying. Not because they fell, but because they were once divine. They are not just stories. They are warnings, whispers from the past, echoes from the sky, and perhaps the oldest truth of all. But ask yourself, if angels can fall, what does that say about us? We build empires, chase power, edit genes, rewrite nature, and stare into the stars dreaming of our own godhood. But in the silence between those dreams, a question lingers. Are we rising or are we falling? They don't want you to remember. They don't want you to look deeper. They want you distracted, entertained, tamed. But here we dare to ask, we dig, we remember. If this story moved you, if you feel the pull of forgotten truths, if you sense there is more to this world than what you've been told, then subscribe to the journey back in time. This is only the beginning. We are not just telling stories, we are unlocking the vault of humanity's forbidden past, one secret at a time. Subscribe, like, share. Let me know in the comment section what part of this story moved you. What ancient truths would you like us to touch on next? I read all comments. This is The Journey Back in Time. Welcome.